In the aftermath of the decisive naval battle of Salamis, where the Greeks, led by Themistocles, delivered a crippling blow to King Xerxes' Persian fleet, the news of Xerxes' defeat spread like wildfire. Right after, Xerxes retreated to Asia with the bulk of his army, fearing that the victorious Greeks would now move to the Hellespont and destroy the pontoon bridges, thereby trapping him in Europe. Xerxes also feared the Ionians would rise again when news of his defeat spread across the sea. But the ambition remained, so the Persian king left General Mardonius behind with most of his army in Greece for the battle the following winter of 479 BC, the Battle of Plataea, the rise of the legendary warriors. We are on a project to restore humanity's heroic history. Please thumb up and click subscribe to our free channel to help us reach the first 100 subscribers. Soon after Xerxes left, Mardonius marched from Athens to Thessaly to spend the winter there, so the Athenians crossed over from Salamis, reoccupying what was left of their city. The rest of the Greeks retreated back to their bases, but their own city temples and fields were lying in ruins. The Greek alliance was fragile, and infighting resulted in the Athenian fleet, by far the largest, leaving the naval alliance. Taking advantage of the rift within the alliance, the Persians tried to lure the Athenians to switch sides and offered the Athenians terms of peace, freedom, protection in their land, and repairs to their temples. However, with big trust in their Spartan fellows, the Athenians rejected the Persian request. So long as the sun holds his present course, we shall never come to terms with Xerxes. We will come out and defend ourselves against him, trusting in our allies and the gods he has insulted. Angered by the refusal, Mardonius ordered the Persians to burn the city, leaving Athens barely alive, now completely destroyed one more time. The Athenians fled to the island of Salamis again. The Persian general Mardonius gave the Athenians a chance to surrender, but the Athenians, along with the Megarians and the Plateans, sent a messenger to Sparta to demand assistance and remind Spartan officials of the tempting offers that the Persians had made. The Spartans were once again busy celebrating a religious festival at the time, so they delayed making a decision for a few days. However, with the bravery of a soldier, the Spartans responded in force. Thousands of Spartan hoplites, under the command of a man who went by the name of Pausanias, marched under the cover of darkness, without saying a word to the Athenian delegation. When the Athenians delivered an ultimatum to Sparta for the next day, they were amazed to learn that the Spartan army was already on the march. The Persian force, when Mardonius heard that the Spartans were marching north, hastily finished the destruction of Athens, and moved northwest in the direction of Thebes toward open ground, which would be suitable for the use of cavalry. With a force of approximately 100,000 soldiers, he encamped on the north bank of the Asopus River near the town of Platea. The Persian army consisted of a massive array of soldiers from all over the Persian Empire and beyond, from Egypt all the way to India. Besides, some fleets retreated by boat to the other side of the coast where the Ionians were residing. The Greek force, the Spartans, numbered approximately 10,000 and were reinforced by hoplites and other soldiers from around 20 other city-states. Most notable of these were the Athenians, who supplied 8,000 hoplites, Corinth, which supplied 5,000, Megara, and Sicyon, each supplying 3,000 hoplites. In total, the Greek army was under 40,000 soldiers under the leadership of the Spartan general Pausanias. The Greeks took up position on a hill to the south of the Asopus River and held a commanding view of the surrounding area. During the Battle of Plataea, the Greek army consisted mostly of hoplites, the name for heavily armed foot soldiers. When a hoplite was fully armored, he carried about 20 kilos of equipment. Therefore, being able to hold this equipment required a harsh physical and mental training program. For the hoplite, mental training to practice the belief of victory in any situation, and physical training is the way for them to do it. Training, the Greeks understood that Plataea was their most important battle to completely end the ambitions of Persian King Xerxes in their homeland. Therefore, for a year after the Battle of Salamis, the Greek army continued to train its troops. Military service is mandatory, and warriors must train according to the harshest program, with the principle that the Spartans once said, "The more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war." Hellenic training, as in all sports and at all times, basically pursued two aims: physical strength and mental enhancement. For physical, the ancient Greek training method, particularly for the Spartans, was structured and extremely intense, and most of the Spartan soldiers' training regimens and methods were used by other city-states. A Greek warrior workout meant improvising and using whatever was available to improve their physical fitness. Ancient Greek bodybuilding relied on performing bodyweight exercises such as push-ups or pull-ups 5,000 times. The ancient Greeks would use resistance in their strength training methods by using stones, logs, animals, or each other to help increase their strength. In the main workout, a range of options were available: total body workout, zone workouts, or training geared toward competitive sports. Training could follow the same routine daily or rotate from day to day. There were specialized exercises for boxing, wrestling, and the pankration, an ancient mix of martial arts that combined boxing and wrestling. Punching bags were used, as well as shadow boxing techniques. Bends were used to strengthen the upper body. Various running exercises, including high-resistance running in sand, were employed to improve lower body fitness and aerobic performance. A variety of jumps are also described, while upper body strength was cultivated using rope climbing and other instruments. In addition to repetitive exercises, training also encompassed daily physical activities believed to enhance conditioning, such as digging, horse riding, walking, hunting, and fishing, especially riding and swimming. Warriors not only exercise daily, but they are also encouraged to take sunbathing not only to build endurance against the sun and thus be able to march in the harsh conditions, but also because solar rays were seen as beneficial to health. Greek warriors took dips in natural cold springs and rivers to boost their stamina. Besides, the Greeks believed in the harmony of mind and body to become the strongest warriors. They not only need physical strength, but also an undying spirit. The Greek warriors celebrated the heroic ideals embodied by legendary figures such as Achilles and Heracles. Training programs sought to inspire warriors to emulate these ideals, fostering a sense of heroism and personal glory. Greece is a region with an extremely harsh climate, with changes in heat and heavy rain causing the ground to crack and thorny bush to be everywhere. Therefore, warriors were trained to endure physical hardships and to remain stoic in the face of adversity on their march. My favorite Spartan story is while in southern Greece, King Philip of Macedonia sent a simple message to the Spartans: "You are advised to submit without further delay, for if I bring my army into your land, I will destroy your farms, slay your people, and raze your city." The best part was that the way the Spartans replied, they just ripped the "if" part of the old letter and sent it back to them. You know, if anyone ever tells you to come get them, that means they are pretty damn confident of their abilities, and you better think twice. As Plutarch wrote, the Spartans do not ask how many are the enemy, but where are they? Even though the force difference is huge, the warriors still believe in the righteous thing they are doing, believe in the protection of the gods, and believe in victory. That great belief has created legendary warriors in history, especially in the Battle of Plataea. The Battle of Plataea. For Greek warriors, the Greek army, when approaching Plataea, stopped in the nearby forest to block the Persian cavalry advantage. The Spartans and the Tegeans took up the right flank on the edge of the Asopus Ridge, while the Athenians took up the left flank on a hill. Between them, their allies took up positions on slightly lower ground, which still held a commanding view of the enemy force that had advanced to the edge of the river. The Persian cavalry tried to lure the Greeks down into the open field using hit-and-run tactics and under the command of Mecistius, they successfully threatened Greeks until an archer shot the flank of Mecistius' horse, causing the commander to fall to the ground. The Athenians rushed forward and slayed him, with the killing blow being a stab through the eye. For 8 days, the two sides stared each other down, with both sides having maneuvered into a deadlock. Mardonius eventually sought to break the impasse and sent cavalry forces to the passes through Mount Cithaeron to the rear of the Greek forces. By doing so, they struck a blow to the Greek forces by capturing vital supplies. 2 days later, the Persian cavalry advanced and captured an area to the south of the Athenians, blocking access to the Gargantuan spring, which was the only source of water for the Greek army. Facing this supply crisis, the Greek leaders met and decided to fall back to the town of Platea, which they decided to do at night to avoid being attacked by the Persian cavalry. When Pausanias ordered the Spartans to follow suit, a Spartan commander who went by the name of Amphiaraus refused to comply. Apparently, he refused to run away from the barbarians and said that he would not humiliate Sparta, since retreating in the face of the enemy was a disgrace. General Pausanias tried to convince that this was not an actual retreat, but a tactical withdrawal. But Amphiaraus grabbed a stone, threw it at Pausanias' feet, and proclaimed, "With this stone, I vote against fleeing from the strangers." Just before dawn, Pausanias decided to move the army, risking the loss of Amphiaraus' entire division. Amphiaraus finally realized that the rest of the Spartan army was indeed moving and led his division off at a slow pace to rejoin the rest. By daybreak, the Persians realized the Greek line was fragmented and took the opportunity to press the advantage. All the while, the sun was rising above the field of Plataea, lighting up the final day of battle. Just as Amphiaraus reached the main line, the Persian cavalry caught up with his division and attacked the Spartan positions from all angles. The heavy fighting begins. The Spartans came under attack from Persian cavalry and then infantry, while the Athenians were occupied with a Theban phalanx. The Thebans were Greek, but had allied with the Persians on this occasion. The Spartans withstood barrages of arrows and eventually decided to go on the offensive. Both armies moved toward each other and took up new positions, slowly pressing forward. The Spartans and the Tegeans pushed into the Persian lines. However, the individual Persian soldiers were at a severe disadvantage. They had wicker shields, cloth armor, and short spears. In contrast, the Greeks were clad in linen thoraxes and bronze breastplates, while wielding wood and bronze shields and longer spears. Even though the Persians fired weapons rapidly into the enemy forces, these arrows were unable to penetrate the hoplite bronze shields. The Greeks then charged the Persian forces in order to gain the advantage in hand-to-hand combat. The Persians tried to overcome the longer spears by grabbing them, but the Greeks compensated by using their swords. When this happened, the Persians were overwhelmed by the superior arms and armor of their enemies. Realizing the unrest, General Mardonius, who rode about on his white horse, advanced to inspire the chaotic Persian crowd. But the Greeks pushed forward slowly until a brave Spartan soldier named Embark rushed towards the Persian commander. Mardonius was killed. With this huge blow to the Persian army, morale plummeted and they began to panic and flee. Plunging morale spread like wildfire through the Persian army, and the rout became general, with the vast majority of the Persian army now attempting to flee. On the left flank of the Greek army, the Athenians had fought hard against the Theban phalanx and had emerged victorious. The Thebans retreated, and the Athenians allowed them to leave unharassed. Buoyed by these successes, the Greeks pressed forward, crossed the river, and surrounded the Persian camp. After a short attempt to defend the camp, it was breached, and the Greeks caught the tightly packed Persians. The Battle of Plataea was over, and the Greeks had turned a disaster into a stunning victory. The surviving Persians took refuge inside their fortified camp and were able to hold out for a while, since the Spartans were not accustomed to siege warfare until the Athenians arrived and were able to breach the wall of the camp and complete the annihilation of the remnants of the Persian army. A bronze column in the shape of intertwined snakes, the Serpent Column, was created from melted down Persian weapons acquired in the capture of the Persian camp and was erected at Delphi. It commemorated all the Greek city-states that had participated in the battle, listing them on the column and thus confirming some of Herodotus' claims. The end of the battle saw the complete destruction of the Persian force, which suffered casualties ranging between 50,000 to 80,000 men. On the other hand, the Greeks suffered comparably minor casualties with no more than 1,000 hoplites, either killed or wounded, half of them being the hoplites from the Central Greek division that were ambushed during the final stage of the battle. But among the few dead Greeks lay that stubborn but valiant Spartan, Amphiaraus. The Greeks had saved the Battle of Plataea, proved the effectiveness of superior armor, weaponry, training, and mental discipline. This combination results in heroic warriors, descendants of the gods, with superior physical strength and an eternal spirit of goodness. The Battle of Plataea also set the stage for Greek ascendancy and marked a point of decline for the Persian Empire. It sets in motion a series of events that will eventually lead to Alexander the Great's campaigns, coupled with the contemporaneous Battle of Mycale. The Battle of Plataea brought an end to the Second Persian invasion of Greece and his complete conquest of Persia. We are on a project to restore humanity's heroic history. Please thumb up and click subscribe to our free channel to help us reach the first 200 subscribers.